Alright folks, so carrying on with my kitchen cabinet installation here, I'm ready for countertops now. So that's the next thing up. I'm going to fabricate up these tops, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So basically have, you know, this big L-shaped top here, and here I'm going to do a cantilever over this edge so that we have a place to sit up to it, and also give you a bit bigger work area. And then it's going to come across over the sink and over the dishwasher, and then we have a range in the middle here, so then we're going to have a little counter on the side, and then we also have a counter over here beside the refrigerator. We also have two bathroom vanities as well that we're going to do the counters on. So there's several ways that you can do counters. A lot of people will, you know, get their cabinets to this stage, and then they'll hire someone to come in and do the counters for them. And there's a variety of counters that you can go with. So you can go with like a flat lay top countertop, which is what we're going to do, which is going to give us a seamless counter. Okay, so there'll be no seams in this, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And also the flat lay is more of a custom type of a cabinet, counter. You can make it sort of look like a solid surface, and a solid surface can be like a corian or a stone or something like that. You know, quartz and granite are very popular these days, but you know, very expensive. So you know, in this home, we're not going to spend that kind of money. We're going to just go with a flat lay top. Another alternative to that would be like a preformed top, where you just buy them pre-made at you know, a place like Home Depot, and you know, then you install them. With that, you will have a seam in the corner here, so we want to eliminate that seam. We don't want to have that joint there. So again, we want to go seamless. And I've laid out this counter so that I can get it seamless, and I'll explain that to you a little bit later. So ultimately what we're going to have is it's going to be covered with this laminate material, and so that's what our counters are going to look like there. And that's sort of like a distressed concrete, they call it, a weathered cement matte finish. And I'm going to do them myself. Okay, I'm doing them myself. I could save myself quite a bit of material, quite a bit of money. So I'm set up here. I'm going to cut these outside. I've been down to the lumberyard, and I've got myself some panels here, and I've got 3 panels. These are costing me, well, with tax and stuff, these 3 panels cost me about 200 bucks, and this will be enough to do my whole thing. So I got 2 in the trailer there still. I got 1 up here on the deck, so I'm going to start to cut it up here. And I'm cutting outside. It's got a nice fall day here. It's warm and sunny. I'm going to cut outside where I have space, and also I'll keep the dust and stuff from cutting out here. So this is 5/8 MDF material that I'm going to use as the foundation that I will be gluing that laminate on. Alright, so you know, this is just a process of measuring and cutting, so not too exciting with that, but that's I'll show you as I go along here. Alright, and so all I'm doing here is just cutting it with my cordless circular saw there, and I've put a straight edge on there. I've just clamped it to the material there, you know, to give me a guide to run my saw up against, so I get a nice straight edge there. And so all of my cuts I'll be doing like that. I'll just be clamping my straight edge on, and you know, using that to keep things nice and straight. And wherever possible, I'm using the factory edge to face out, so all my cut edges will be inside. And so what I have done when I'm sawing, in order so I don't saw my deck, I set it on these, I have these scrap pieces of wood here that I just place underneath the sheet, and put the sheet on top of that so that I don't saw through. So you can see there where, you know, I have a saw cut on that board there, so, and you know, I didn't saw my deck. Alright, so there's my offcut, and that will get used in another place. But that first piece I've cut now, I've brought it in, and so now you can see the cantilever there, and the cantilever is going to line up with my bulkhead up there. And the way we do this is we hang the cabinet the counter an inch over the cabinet. Okay, so that's kind of the standard. And so this piece is fit now. This is the offcut from this piece, and so this piece is going to go underneath this in order to give me the thickness that I'm after here. So my counters will be 1.25 inches thick when I'm all done. So that's, you'll see the 2 layers of 5/8 there. So you can see how this piece now will go back into the cabinet, and it will support this cantilever. All right, so this is the cantilever. Okay, so that's how that's going to look. And so I'm kind of building these upside down, or not building them, but laying them out upside down. So what I'm trying to do here is get all my cuts done while I've got a good day outside, cut outside, and then once I have everything cut and sort of laid out here, then I'll start putting them together. But the next piece now is going to be, I'm going to cut this piece here, which is going to go across this whole section here, and I'll fit that. So that'll be next up. Okay, so this MDF material comes in, you call it 4x8, but it's actually a little bit bigger. So it's actually 49 inches by 97 inches long. And so now I've cut that next piece and I've got it here. You can see I made my cut. So that piece is 25. So if I cut, I don't have enough there to do another, another width for my kitchen counters. But this offcut now, I'll be able to use in my vanities, because the vanities are 2 inches narrower. So that piece there will give me a top for one of my vanities there. All right, folks, so I've got my panels laid out here now. I've got them all cut and I've got them laid out. And so now I have to, I have to build it up to get my 1.25 inches thickness. And so as I showed you before, this is the start of it. So I need to build this up. So I have to cut strips of this 5/8 material to laminate onto the bottom of this here and get our thickness, and then also to make the joint there as well. So yeah, that's all of them there. So now that offcut, I was telling you about the bathroom here. So I've got here's my bathroom vanity. So I just used the offcut. So your kitchen counters are 25 inches deep, and a bathroom vanity is 22. So the cabinet itself is 21. So it's 3 inches difference between a bathroom vanity and a kitchen counter. So this is how we work out our material. And yeah, so now I'm just going to go ahead and work at again getting this built up. So I have to do that with the 5/8 material. So that's what's up next. I'm just going to cut some strips, and I'll show you once I get them cut how I'm going to build this up. On my my front bathroom vanity top, and so I've got my I'm working on the underside of it. So I'm on the this is the bottom side. So I've cut these MDF strips, which is the same material as the counter. It's 5/8, and I've cut it to 3 inches. Now that's an arbitrary measurement. You can cut it, whatever, if you're trying to use up straps and stuff. And now I'm going to nail this to the panel in order to get my 1.25 inches thickness here. So what I've done is I've run a bead of glue. Again, I'm using my good old standby here, my LePage's Pro Carpenter's glue. It's a yellow glue, and so I've just done a squiggle on there. And what I'm going to do with this now is take my pinner with 1-inch pins. I'm going to lay this down into the glue like this. I'm going to line it up at the front edge here, and then I'm going to tack it to there and make it sandwich it together. And so then you can see this is going to give us our 1.25 inches thickness. And so this will become the bottom of the countertop. When I'm done with this, I will take this and flip it upside down onto the vanity, and this is how I fill in over the cabinet and back along the wall. Okay, and then I will be screwing the panel to the cabinets, and I'll show you how I do that. But I'm just going to go ahead now. So I'm going to do this all the way around. This is the front edge. I'll be doing the 2 sides and across the back as well. And then this one will be ready to install on the vanity. Okay, so here I've got all of my strips nailed on. And so you can see I just kind of go, you know, at it with the pinner there. You know, once the glue sets up, it's not going anywhere. You can see at the back here, I used a little narrow piece. I'm just using up some scrap that I have here. So, you know, this is all underneath. Nobody's going to see it. So now this is going to get flipped over. Again, this is the bottom side. So it'll get flipped over. And this one's ready to go in there on that vanity. And so now you can see here how we have our 1¼ inch thickness. And so that's, you know, that's what gives us our edge. All right, and so this is the top that I was working on, and this is this other bathroom vanity. And so there you go, this is ready to be screwed down. All right, and you can see we've got our 1¼ inch thickness there. I've got it built up, and I've got it all fit in here. So now I'll just be, you know, there's the underside of it, and I'll just be screwing it down, you know, into the cabinet there to secure it in place, and then we'll be putting the laminate on top of that. So it's going to get the laminate edges get done first. Okay, we do the edges first, and then we do the top. So that's coming up. And now I'm just going to do the same thing there as I did with that one. I'm just going to just go right around here and you know, build it up. So I've got that one sitting here. So I'll just do exactly the same procedure and just, you know, just work my way around and do the whole works here. Okay, folks. So now I'm working on this long piece here, and so I've got it flipped over. So this is the front, this is the front, and this is the underside of it, and this is the back. So this is going to get flipped over like this, all right? And so you can see that I mean, it's a push a little bit this way because I'm working on it, but you can see that, you know, I've got this piece here that's going to be over this end panel, and this piece here is going to be over this partition, all right? And same thing here, this partition will be over top of this. Okay, same thing here, right? And once we flip this over and get it into position, then this will sit on top of the partition. And then ultimately, I will be screwing down through the counter into this wood in this partition here. Okay, and I will also be screwing up from the bottom. So at the front of the cabinets here, I have this piece here. So I'll be screwing up through this piece into the underside of the counter. So, you know, once it's all down there, screwed down, it won't be going anywhere. And so here you can see I've got, this one is completed, and this one is completed, ready for laminate. And it's not screwed down yet though. But once we get this laminate on, then we'll be putting a tile backsplash on it, which will come down and sit on the counter, which will also help to hold it from lifting. So yeah, once it's all done, it'll be completely secure there. All right, so now I have to flip this one over and get it in place, and then I'll finish fabricating the peninsula part here. And yeah, then we're ready for laminate. All right, so I have finished fabricating my tops. I've got that one turned over, and I you know, fabricated up the peninsula piece here. I've got everything all screwed down, and I've screwed down through the into the wood below. You can see where I've got you know, the wood, the partitions there, and so here's a screw here. All right, and you know, there's another one there and there and there. And so you have to make sure that when you screw down through here that you countersink the screw so it gets down below the surface of the top here. Otherwise, when you put the laminate on, it will you'll see a bump there. All right, so along the back of the wall there, I've you know, screwed the counter down. You can see it there, and so now this is all completely screwed down. I also screwed up, you know, from the bottom through there, like the way I mentioned before. And so now I'm getting ready to do my laminate, and so I'm just working on my edges. And so you want to make sure that your edges are smooth and you know, level. And there's a couple of things you can do to fix it if it's not. So I'm using a plastic wood, which is kind of like Bondo. You know, any places where, you know, I might have a little bit of a unevenness or whatever, you know, just spread a little bit of that on there and let it harden up. And then I just use a sandpaper block like this. I got a couple going here with different grits, and then you just want to make sure, you know, that you hold this flat and get it you know, get it smooth. It's also, you want to make sure that you're square. So, whoops. So what you can do is you can put a square on it like this. My blade has fallen out of there, but just to make sure that, you know, you're keeping square, so you can you know, keep track of where you're at that way. You don't want to sand. You have to be careful when you sand it. You don't sand off, you know, one side or the other, top and bottom edge there. So you want to keep it flat and square. Otherwise, when you put your edging on, you'll have troubles with it. So you can see I've put some masking tape around the top there, and that's to protect the cabinets from, you know, from me. So if I get in there with the sandpaper, you know, I'm not going to scratch the cabinet if I go over a little bit somehow there. You know, it just protects. That's just to protect the cabinet. All right, so now I'm ready to start cutting my laminate. So what I do is I'm going to, I'm going to squeak on the floor here. What I'm going to do now is cut all my laminate out. I'll go through the whole job here. And so I have my piece of laminate. So here you can see I've got my roll. And so this particular roll is 5 feet by 12 feet long. And you just buy it like this. It's just rolled up. It also comes in 4 by 8 sheets as well. But I need a 5 by 12 because I've got 5 feet here, right? So that's how I laid this all out, so that I wouldn't have any seams. And then, you know, I've got about 10 feet going down that. Maybe no, it's more than 10 feet. Anyways, my 5 by 12 is going to work on this piece here to give me no seams. And so that's my biggest piece. You always start with your biggest piece. So I'm going to cut that piece. I'm going to unroll this out on the floor, and then I'll start doing my layout. All right, and I've got my 2 bathrooms. You know, I got the bathroom up at the front, and I got the bathroom at the back there that I'm working together with these the kitchen tops here. And so I'm not going to show you all of that, but this is all ready to go. I've got my edges all done, and I'm ready to start laying out and cutting. Now that roll of material there is like $250, so it's a bit of a nerve-wracking job, and we want to be careful when we're handling that and how we lay it out. All right, so there I've got my 5 by 12 sheet laid out on the floor here. Before I rolled it out, I made sure that I was very clean. The floor was very clean. I'm going to be working now on top of this, cutting it. And so if you've got anything underneath there and you put your knee down on it or step on it, it's going to pop it up. So you have to make sure that you're clean underneath. And yeah, this is the laminate we're going for here. So it's kind of a rock look. The one that I was going to put on was more of a cement look, a concrete look. But I had some left over from another job, like I think I mentioned, and that is no longer available, so I had to change, and so I'm going with this pattern here now. So basically it's the same color. You really can't tell much difference between it. So here's the two samples right there. Let's see, I'll turn my light off here maybe. Bring them down here. So this is the one that I was going to use, and this is the one I'm ending up using. The shadows all over the place. It's dark outside. We're getting into winter here. It's pretty hard to record inside here, folks. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead now and start laying it out. And like I said, I'm going to start with the big piece first. Always start with the big pieces and work down. All right, folks. So I'm not going to go through this with you step by step, cut by cut. You know, to be honest with you, this is very intense. You're dealing with some very expensive material here, and at least for me, I have to be very focused on it. I can't be making YouTube videos while I'm doing this, but I'll give you a little bit of the play-by-play here. So anyways, you can see I've got my main sheet cut out of my 5 by 12 there, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of you know, how you cut this stuff, you know. So it's quite thin. It's plastic laminate, and you know, so I just measured it out. You make everything you know, slightly bigger. Generally I go 1/4 of an inch bigger. You can see that, and so once it's glued down, we will be trimming it back, you know, to the edge. Now we start with the edges first, okay? So again, you know, I'm starting with my big piece first. Once I get all my top pieces laid out, I still got to do, you know, these two over here. Then I will be cutting the edge strips out of, you know, what's left. And so the edges, I've got 1.25 inches of thickness on this material here. So my edges, and you know, I'll show you this later. I'm cutting them at 1.5 inches. And so then my edge pieces will, the procedure here is we do all of our edges first, okay? And there's an order that we do our edges, and I will explain that to you when we get to that. But you know, those edges will be you know, left proud high so that we will trim them down to the top. And then once we get our edges all fit, then you know, then we'll be applying this, and because this is overlapping, you know, then we'll trim this edge back to the edging here, the face. All right, so again, you know, that's why we are making this a bit oversized, so that it hangs over, so that we have room to trim that back. All right, we will be putting this down with contact cement, and with the contact cement, you know, once it makes contact, you can't shift it. So you know, that's why we have a little bit of a fudge factor here, so that we can, you know, compensate for you know, getting that sheet placed. You can see how close I am to the end here. When I did my layout, you know, this is the 5-foot section of the sheet, the 5-foot width. And as I mentioned before, you know, I designed all of this so that I could use the full width of that 5-foot sheet. And actually the sheets are 5'1". And so you can see how close I'm going to come here. You know, I don't have much left to trim there, you know, by the time I get my edging on. So, you know, I'm basically got this calculated out down to within 1/8 of an inch, so that, you know, I'm not trimming basically any material off of the width. Okay, now, when I make these cuts, how do we cut this? Well, there's different ways you can cut it. You know, you can cut it with a saw, you know, if you're set up correctly with that, the right blade. But basically we use hand tools. And so this is the tool that we use, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you should be able to see this. I'll come over here. So there it is there. So you can see we have a bit of a hook blade. So this blade, there's a point right there that we use to score. We use to score the laminate, and we use a straight edge. And so, you know, here you can see my straight edge. And, you know, you can use I've got a fairly long one, but you can use a square, level, you know, anything to use to guide you. And you just run your this scoring tool along the edge. And what it does is it scribes a mark on it, which then allows you to bend the sheet and snap it, just basically like you would do with drywall. Now, when you're cutting this, you have to be really careful on the inside corners. And you can see here where I have a radius there. So before I cut this this piece here, you know, I've got 2 cuts coming into a corner here, which is tricky, okay? So if I was to just cut that square, in handling the sheet, I run the risk of creating a stress point there, and it could tear on me, all right? It could tear easily. So by drilling a hole first, then it doesn't matter what size you drill it. This happens to be a 7/16. What I have done here is created a radius so that that releases the stress on that corner. And so then I can handle it, and the likelihood of this tearing while I'm handling it is less. It's quite a bit less. Okay, you still have to be careful, but you know, it just sort of takes that away, you know, that danger. When we eventually get to trimming this, I'll show you, but there's a trick you have to do on these inside corners to keep them from eventually cracking. And you all may have seen, you know, a countertop like this where on an inside corner like this, there's a crack in it. And there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that to you when we get to that. But you can see that in our layout here, I'm going to have no seams, all right? So this is going to basically look like, you know, one piece of counter. So, you know, the kind of the look that we're trying to replicate here is a stone top. And so this particular pattern is a shale rock. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut this those pieces, get these two pieces out for there, and then I'm going to start cutting my my edges. Okay, and again, sorry, I'm not going to show you the cut by cut. Like I said, I find this quite stressful. I haven't done this for a while, and I really need to be focused, and can't be fooling around with too much with the videos here. Okay. All right, so I'm ready to start my glue up here. So you can see I've gone ahead and laid everything out. So you know I've got my flat pieces laid out here, and I have all my edges cut. And again, you know, like I said before, everything is oversized so that it trims back. But yeah, I just go around and, you know, cut all the edges and get them in place. And so when you do the glue up, you have to start with the edges. I think I mentioned that before. And so we put the edges on, and then we'll put the top on, and that's how we go about it. So I'm not going to show you the whole job here. What I'll do is I'll probably just pick this cabinet here and just, you know, show you the glue up on that one, how I start with the edges, and it's just the same procedure for, you know, for everything else here. The glue I'm going to be using today is this product here, which is a contact cement. And there's different, you know, there's different adhesives out there. I'm not endorsing this particular one, this particular brand. But this is, you know, this is the one that I use that I find sticks the best. It works the best. So it is a solvent based, so it's very smelly. It's very flammable. You have to be careful when you use it. This will be brushing on and rolling on. Use a combination of that. You can also get this in a water based. I've tried the water based ones and they don't work well for me. I don't like them. I've had laminate lift using the water-based. I don't know whether it's the fault of the adhesive or it was my fault, but it didn't work. So I've gone back to the old smelly stuff, and yeah, it works well for me. You can also buy this in spray cans where you just spray it, which is really convenient, but it is a bit messy. You know, when you do that, then you have to mask and stuff. So there's, you know, there's more work involved in the masking, the prep. So I just kind of do it old school and just, you know, use a brush and a roller and that stuff there. So yeah, so you can see here how I've just got everything all laid out. Yeah, so once I start gluing, I don't have to be you know, cutting anything. So it'll just be gluing and trimming and just moving forward like that. All right, folks, I'll get ready to start my glue up here. Okay, folks, so I've started doing my glue up. And so on this little cabinet that I'm sort of going to follow you through on, you can see that I've got the edging is applied here now, right? And so you can see how it's sticking past the front and it's sticking up past the top. I've lined it up along the bottom so I don't have to trim along the bottom. But now, you know, I'll just trim along the top there and, you know, work it down so then it's all flush with the top and the face. All right, and then I'll be putting my front one on so it'll cover the butt end of these side pieces. And then eventually, once this is all done, then we'll put the top on. All right, so we're using a contact cement here. So the way this contact cement works is we apply it to both surfaces. So I got these two edges laid up here. So I've applied the adhesive to the edge here. And you can see I've applied it to the back of this strip that's going to go on here. Likewise over here. So what we do is you just let this dry, and then you put it together, and when you put it together, it sticks. It's instantaneous. You can't relocate it. Once it makes contact, it's done. And so what I do here as well, just to increase the success of this little project, on the wood part, I give it 2 coats. So I give it a coat, I let it dry, I give it another coat. This only gets 1 coat on the back of this because it's not so porous, but the wood being a bit porous, it kind of sucks in that first coat, and you know, it can make it give you a weak bond there. All right, so now I'm going to trim the what I do now is I'm going to trim this edge over here, and for that I use a trimmer. This is a laminate specific trimmer, and what it basically is just a little router. And so you can see I've got a bit in here that it's a flush cutting bit, and so all I'm going to do with this is just go along, you know, fire it up, and then I'll just put it on here and just go along like this. Okay, you can see how that's going to work, and that will take me down flush to the wood. And then from there I finish it with sandpaper and a file. So now I'm just going to go ahead and trim these edges, and you'll carry on from there. Now you don't have to have a specific machine. You can just use a regular router, but this is nice because it's smaller. It helps you get in tighter. Okay, so I've trimmed this back, and so now you can see this is all flush with the top. It's flush with the front. And my router doesn't go right back into the back edge, so I'm not going to worry about that, but you can see, you know, after it's trimmed and before it's trimmed. So I'll deal with this later by hand, but for now I'm working on this front here now. So that's the next piece to go on. Okay, so you can see my why I put the side pieces on, because you can see this black edge. Hopefully you can see that in the video. And so now I will be gluing up the face of this edge and the back of this, and put this over top, and that's going to overlap that joint there, so that you won't be looking into it. The joint will be from the side of it. So that just, you know, that's just a little tech tip there, folks, just to help you have a more professional look. All right. And so same thing over here. I've got this little cabinet ready, and so this piece will be going on next. Okay, and you can see it's overlapping the side there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and glue those up. All right, folks, so I have all of my edges laid down here, and I've got them all trimmed back. And so now, I mentioned to you before, you know, getting back into this corner here, it's a bit tricky because the router doesn't go all the way back. But you can see here, all right, I have an attachment for my trimmer that, you know, gets me back in there. So this is a very expensive tool. This is not something that a do-it-yourselfer will have. I don't know if you can rent them, but so I switch over to that base to get myself in closer, and then I finish off with these hand tools. Okay, so I have a file and a chisel, and I have a side cutters that I go in there, and you know, to get that down flush like this. All right, outside corners, you know, we also have to work those. You know, those are worked with a file. But you can see now this is all ready to go ahead and put the you know, put the top on now. All right, so that's how you do it, folks. You go all your edges first. All right, once you get all your edges on, you know, now we'll apply the contact adhesive to this, and I got my other piece over there. We'll do to the underside of that. We'll flip that on there, okay, and I'll show you that when I get to it. There's a bit of a trick there, and then you know, that will be overlapping this way, and so then we'll trim it back and then finish that edge. So here's just another couple more tools that you use. Okay, so a sanding block, you know, is important. You know, we use the sanding block to come in and you know, sand stuff. And we also, you know, I've shown you this, and this, you know, this thing has changed, you know, throughout the video. It's got different bases on it. I also use a little random orbital sander to you know, to sand, you know, to even things out and stuff. So that's one of the mainstays when I'm doing this kind of work. All right, so there you can see I've laid that top out. It's not glued yet. I've just got it just sitting there to get it up off the floor, but you can see how it's coming along. So now I'm just going to go ahead now and prep these other ones, and then the two bathrooms, and then we'll be ready to glue the tops down. All right, folks, so I've got my edges all glued up and machined, and now I'm working on putting down the flats. And so here I've applied my contact cement to the base and to the back of that sheet. So that sheet's going to go up and come down onto that. So this one is ready to go, and this is contact cement. So once it touches, you know, it's done. You can't move it anymore. So I use these dowels, you know, to separate the two pieces. Well, to separate the piece from the base. And once I get into position, you know, then I'll pull these out and push that down onto the base, and then we'll have contact, and then that piece will be there. And then once that's done, then I'll just trim it, and just the same as I did the edges. So that's kind of the next the next step in the process here. All right, so there I've got these. These are attached now, so this is firmly attached. And so again, you can see how I have the overlap over the edge, all right, all the way around. And so now I will take my trimmer and trim this back, even with the edges. And just to give you a little better look at those dowels that I'm using. So there, I've got my piece on the floor there that's going to come up onto here. And so I'm ready to bring that in and set it up here. And these are my dowels that I just laid out there. Just to separate, I'll lay my sheet on top of that. I'll get it positioned, and then I'll pull those dowels out as I push the sheet down to make contact. So that way, you know, I'm not making contact before I'm ready to, you know, to go ahead. All right, folks, so that wraps up my little counter job here. And so you can see now I've just trimmed this all back. Flush. I still got a little bit of hand work to do there back the back corners, but you can see, you know, there's no seams here. Makes it sort of look like a solid piece of stone. And so this is, like I said, this is a pretty inexpensive way to get some really nice looking custom counters. You're not, you know, with the, if you go with what the post-formed ones that you get from Home Depot and those places, like I say, you know, you'd have a seam in the corner there, but you know, this just kind of takes it up a notch. And if you can do it yourself, it you know, it's fairly inexpensive to do it. I think I've got about roughly less than $500 worth of materials into this, including, you know, that very expensive sheet of laminate. That 5x12 was, you know, expensive. But now to finish this off, we will be putting a tile backsplash. Okay, that'll be another video, but we'll be putting a tile backsplash there, so the tile will come right down to the counter here. And again, that gives it a, you know, sort of a little bit of an upscale look, as opposed to having a post form, which, you know, just comes up, the laminate comes up and rolls back, you know, about 4 inches off here. So yeah, that'll be another video. So this is, you know, pretty, you know, do-it-yourself wise. It's a pretty advanced project when you get in, especially you get into the laminate, you know, and handling that big sheet. But what I hope to do here was to give you an idea of, you know, if you're doing a project like this, you know, you don't have to go to those expensive stone tops to sort of get that look. Yeah, this is not like a stone top, but, you know, it gives you the look. And if you do it this way, you get rid of the seams and all of that. So, you know, if you're hiring somebody to come and do your countertops around here, you know, this work would cost about $2,000 to get someone to come in and, you know, supply the materials and do the tops and just, you know, go from scratch to this point here. So hope you found that helpful, folks. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Bye bye.